Just so you know, we are in our summer book series on stitches. I still have them. They're only $10. Great book. Don't just depend on me and the other preachers to illuminate it for you. This is not hard read. She teaches us through stories about her own life. Anne Lamott is a jewel. She's irreverent and sassy, and that's what makes her so real. But she nails it. So if you need one of these, it is not too late. We just are doing chapter 3. There's only 6 chapters. It's like she barely gets 10 words on a page. I want to write a book like this. But the 10 words she put matter. So we're on the chapter called Stitches. In fact, I was like, okay, couldn't you come up with something else, Ann? But anyway. Now, this sermon is a little different than what I normally do. Last week, Eric tackled chapter 3, and the week before, I tackled some about race relations and all the craziness going on in the world and how we can stand up and do better. And I wanted to tell you that afternoon, several of us from our congregation went to the march from Mount Airy Baptist Church to the police station. It was absolutely congenial and loving and positive, and I was proud that we were there. And I know the sermon. If she wants to go play, it's okay. She can go play back there. Oh, so you're the popular one. You're the problem. I see. All right. Well, I just want her to enjoy church, and I want the rest of us to. So whatever you all need to do, you do. Okay. So anyway, today I'm going to do a little something different. I want to share with you some things personally. I don't do that too often, although my life is not a closed book. I mean, you look at me and you can say, oh, George Dunn goes, you don't look right today. Well, same to you, George, but anyway, he's actually right on. So I'm going to be vulnerable and share with you some of you had a week like I had. If you didn't have it this week, you probably had it some other week in your life. I told you about my weekend. She was never a crier. I was the crier. And she goes now from big laughter to big tears. And she can't control her sounds, and so it's big cry. But I gave her things that I had gotten from my mother's house for her. She never cried when our mother died in March. And she bawled now. So if there's a gift in the stroke, it has opened her up. But, of course, I would cry with her because you can't cry alone. I can't, at least. I would never let you all cry alone. I'm going to join with you. So we just had this huge weekend full of emotion. And then memories and things that she's lost. And, her children were there with me and her. And it was wonderful and hard, all rolled up into one. So I came off of that, and then Monday I sat at the Houston airport because you all decided to have storms in New York. I got on and off the plane 3 different times, and finally I was like, next time if I don't get some peanuts, we're going to have trouble. That getting on and getting off, oh, it's just crazy. So I got home about 2 in the morning Monday night, about 12 hours later than I was supposed to. And see, my little baby dogs, they get up at 5 o'clock, whether I want to or not. So Tuesday, I was what my mother would call spent. I don't know if y'all say that up here in the woods, but where I come from, you just spent. I was tired. I was sad. I was weary and overwhelmed. And I felt something I don't feel very often because I tend to be a happy person. I was very melancholy. I just was blah, blah. It wasn't just my sister, but that weekend I remembered my mother and my father, and I missed them. Miss Kim and I met in Houston, and then she went back to Buffalo. I was sad about that. I missed my home. I thought about my 2 friends battling cancer. I just felt like everything was falling apart around me. And my mother would also say, you just weren't worth killing. Yeah, I wasn't worth killing. That's a Southern thing. Yeah. It's not pretty, but it works. And then on top of all my personal stuff, I have been so upset about what's going on in our world. Orlando and Nice, Baton Rouge and Minnesota and Dallas and Baton Rouge again, and then now Munich and Kabul. I don't know about you, but my heart about society is so very heavy. To where you don't even want to know the details because you can't endure it. We have to know. We have terrorists terrorizing us, and then we go and we terrorize each other like we don't have enough. It just feels like everything is falling apart. So Tuesday, it all crashed in on me, and I was a hot mess. Now, I'm not alone. Last night, I opened up my Time magazine. Oh, shoot, I didn't bring my glasses. This is going to be trouble. No, I'm good. And I opened it up. Oh, they matched my outfit, Glenn. Look. Oh. What do you think? It's just not me, I don't think. Glenn, I'm not quite good, but I will work to be you, okay? Oh, look, there's words on this page. All right. I opened it up right to this spot. The psychic toll of nonstop tragedies. Well, we could have written this. But I found it very interesting. I want to share a little bit of it with you. What are we supposed to do with all of this? Every second day seems to bring some fresh outrage happening now on cable news and pinging onto our phones before we haven't even had a chance to digest the last horror. An informed citizenry begins to feel like Lucille Ball on that assembly line stuffing chocolates, picking up speed, except this isn't funny. In the space of 12 days, Baton Rouge, Minnesota, Dallas, Nice, Turkey, Baton Rouge again. That was before we knew about Kabul and Munich. This was printed before that. So, say 13 days. And still visible in the rearview mirror is Orlando, receding with its ambiguity intact. Then it goes on to say, is the world getting worse? Not by any objective measure. In the 1990s, violent crime was twice what it is today. Murders in the U.S. cities 3 times higher than today. But that's easy to miss in the age of smartphones and social media, which now serve as our news outlets. Crowdsourced, but leaving us feeling all alone. And then it goes on to say this. Were those really the good old days when we didn't know everything so quickly? But we need to contrast that when 2/3 of Facebook users get their news from that site posted by friends. Really? I guess we wonder. Wondering is human, but it's the worry, this guy writes, that will hollow you out. It's worry that will hollow you out. A man from Stanford has done a thing neurological studies calls uncertainty a major driver of stress, and stress a great degrader of physical health in our modern life. If for psychological reasons, he writes, you decide that every day is an emergency, you're going to pay a price in the long run. I think our society will too. And then he ends like this, though. The reality, inevitably, is more complex. Not least because we live more and more of our lives online, where you can get rants and they go unchecked. Social interaction is actually not interaction. That's worth keeping in mind, because the Stanford's professor research also concludes that amid the tumult of threats, real and perceived, by far the most reliable reliever of stress turns out to be the physical company of friends. Thank you. We just made a fashion statement. So what do we hold on to when everything around us is falling apart? I had just read Lamott's chapter 3, and so I went searching in my own inventory of my mind and my life of what I've been holding on to. I put them on the altar today. This I took from my mother's closet. Now, my mother was a fancy dresser, but when I was in high school, she was president of the LaRue County Band Boosters. Why? Because she was proud of me. And then I found this blanket. You can almost feel how soft it is, and it's worn on it's all frayed. This were the blankets we slept at my grandparents' house when we would visit. And my mother had saved them. And she had laundered them right before she died. And I found one, I took one to my sister, and she just burst into tears because there's granddaddy and mama and everybody and us as little babies wrapped up in this soft white blanket. And I'm holding on to that. And then I found in my mother's thing a clinging cross. I don't know if you've ever seen them, but you hold on to them. And this is one a rabbi gave me. See? Isn't that cool? And you hold on to it when you don't know what else to hang on to. Not as a good luck charm. Not because it'll fix everything. Because it just reminds you, keep hanging on. Well, I found the clinging cross my mother had used. And I gave it to my sister Ellen. And in her bad hand that is like this, she held on to that. And Kevin was like, well, we'll just leave that at home. And we were taking her back to the nursing home, the rehab, and she was like, no. She was hanging on to it. And then this one you'll really laugh at. This is half of a dollar bill. I know. See, you need to pay me more. Just saying. No, just kidding. Just kidding. Just kidding. This was in my daddy's desk 7 years ago when he died. It is not worth anything. But I've kept it. And it's like Anne Lamott said, because my daddy touched this. So I'm going to keep it. And someday, I'll let it go, but not today. Now, these items remind me, they make me smile and cry at the same time, and yet in the end, they're not enough either. They will not heal us and move us forward. So what are the knots that we tie when we're running out of rope, when we're running out of hope? Well, here's what I did. I'm not saying it's right. I'm just saying it worked. First, I had to own Tuesday where I was. I had to listen to what my soul was telling me. I don't hit a wall very often, but I was plastered against it. And I had to say, ouch. I had to peel myself off and go, whoa, my soul is crying for something. I had to just be there and admit it. Instead of acting all tough about it. I rearranged my schedule. And I realized I needed to do some soul care. And then second, I did what Anne Lamott suggested. I did some daily rituals. I did normal daily things to make me feel normal again. I went to the grocery. Now, y'all need to know, since Miss Kim moved, I don't do that. I don't cook. It's just, I'm pathetic. It's just terrible. I'm like, those single young guys that buy the TV dinners. I'm pathetic. Hey. Just kidding, Logan. I went to the grocery. I bought food. I made myself a little meal. I was still pathetic as I ate it, but that's okay. I went through my mail instead of letting it stack up. I walked my dogs. I actually sat and played with them rather than going, hurry up, I gotta go. I pulled out my old favorite show from years ago on my DVD, and I watched 4 episodes in a row. I paid my bills. And then I ate something yummy that I had cooked, but it was very comforting. And then I went to sleep. I was good to myself. I was loving to myself and gentle. See, I had to put on my own oxygen mask so that I could put on an oxygen mask for you. And Wednesday, I got back on my horse. I put on the prettiest top I have, with that pretty pink one, you know. Extra makeup. My hair had a very good day. I had lunch with my staff celebrating Bill's 57th birthday. And if you believe that one, no. We had a lovely, nice lunch together. I got back to the basics of my faith and my call. I went and worked the food pantry. I listened to people whose every day is like my Tuesday. I hugged and I teased them. I served them. I overcame evil with good. I put love into the world around me to try and counter the hate that I was reading about. I tried to give an encouraging word or a bit of hope, maybe a little love. I tried to make the people in front of me a tad more joyful. And then I went and I spent time in the company of friends, with several of you, celebrating my birthday with good food and good wine. Now, I did not fix all the problems. And anybody that claims they can fix all of them is fooling everybody. I can't fix all of them. I cannot bring about world peace. I cannot stop terrorists. I cannot heal the pain of racism in our country. I cannot bring my mother or my father back. I cannot make my sister walk or talk or eat. I cannot fix everything that's falling apart. But I can do what I can do. Right here, right in front of me, with what I have. And to advocate what I can do, because I cannot do everything, is not the answer. I can get myself into a better place, so then I can help somebody else get themselves into a better place. I gave some extra food. This one woman said, "I'm so hungry." And she was a big gal. You could tell she ate like I do. And she'd gotten one little sack of groceries. So when the director of the food pantry wasn't looking, I went in, I got her some extra catfish, and I put it in her bag. It made me feel like I did something. And she goes, "Oh, thank you, Sister Sara." Maybe just a smile or a laughter. I try to get back to the basics. That's what we read in Romans. Did you hear those words? Let love be genuine. Hate what's evil. Hold fast to what is good. Love one another with mutual affection. Outdo one another in showing honor. Do not lag in zeal. Be ardent in your spirit. Serve God. Rejoice in hope. Be patient in suffering. Persevere in your prayer. Contribute to the needs. Extend hospitality to strangers. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. Live in harmony with one another. And I love this. Don't be haughty. Associate with the lowly. Do not claim to be wiser than you are. And if your enemies are hungry, feed them. If they're thirsty, give them something to drink. Do not be overcome by evil, but overcome evil with good. That's a laundry list of things we can all do today. There's a modern parable about the starfish that had been beached up on the sand. And starfish out of the water will die. Starfish out of their community will die. Just like we will. And here was this woman walking up the beach, throwing them back in, one at a time. Bending over, that's the hardest part. Picking them up, throwing them back in the water. And her friend is like, what are you doing? Why are you doing that? Wasting your time. You cannot save all of them. You won't make a difference. And the woman picked up a starfish, desperate for water. She gently picked it up and threw it back in the ocean and said, it made a difference to that one. And sometimes, the one that you throw back in may be yourself. Thanks be to God.